Cities have a way of looking nice at night. Mumbai is no exception. The glittering lights as you touch down, the shimmering airport highway, the $300 million ceiling that goes on to Marine Drive, and then the five-star hotel district. Not a hint of what lies beneath. A city of dark shadows and deep inequities. A city that for some strange reason every politician dreams of turning into Shanghai. Never mind the human cost. It's night in Bombay. Mornings are the reality check of untold stories, of uncertain futures. This is a part of the Sanjay Gandhi National Park in Borivali, Bombay, one of the many slums that are home to over 7 million people in the city. This slum was the scene of a major battle over a decade ago, when the interests of a fast-developing middle-class suburb coincided with ecological concerns. And of course, the very administration that facilitated the slum in the first place suddenly became its enemy.
92 का petition है और 95 में order pass हुआ और अपना वो टाइम पे कितना 75,000 घर थे ना टोटल जो कोर्ट में भी सरकार ने बताया था
वो डिक्लेयर किया 33,000
नहीं 80,000 था उसमें से 33,000 दे डिक्लेयर्ड एज एलिजिबल उसमें से 5,000 लोग पैसा भरा 5,000 correct. It's an enormous number. And what's really shocking or tragic is that the city just didn't realize when these 75,000 houses were being brutally demolished. And that's something very, very unique about the city of Mumbai, really, because, you know, in a city where a concerted effort by the state government with police force continued over a year, you know, just carrying out demolitions of these houses, because the court ordered for their demolition upon a petition which was filed by the Bombay Environmental Action Group. And then I remember, you know, the case that you stood up for Nivara Haq and really intervened in the matter, demanding rehabilitation first, because when the BAG filed its petition, really didn't actually demand for rehabilitation of the slum dwellers. Not at all.
You can see it in the language used by the upper middle class in Bombay. They call themselves citizens.
But isn't it more shocking when the courts also refuse to see this?
Yes.
For example, I remember in one of the orders, the court demanding the sort of deployment of forces, helicopter surveillance, appointment of retired brigadiers and so forth.
Paramilitary.
And walls built all around.
To see to it, nobody should enter.
Not only that, and they went further to restrict, they passed a ban order of entry of the activists and organizations who were representing the slum dwellers here to actually come into the park. And Nivara Haq, the organization for which both of us work, was probably the only organization that was really working here.
दिया है शमाना मैडम, उन्होंने हमको बहुत अच्छा घर दिया है। आज हम हमारे बच्चे के साथ में बहुत खुश है। आज कैसा भी हो तो हमारे घर में बरसात का पानी तो नहीं, हम बहेंगे तो नहीं, हमारे बच्चे तो सुरक्षित रहेंगे।
The government finally agreed to rehouse the slum dwellers. It was a milestone in slum rehabilitation, a project whose design springs from the needs and aspirations of its people, hampered, however, by the inadequacy of civic services. Most other slum rehabilitation programs are nowhere near as successful.
और पानी का ऐसा तकलीफ हो रहा है, एक दिन छोड़ के एक दिन आ रहा है, वो भी 10 मिनट आ रहा है, 10 मिनट आ रहे हैं। और टैंकर मंगा के डालेंगे तो कितना टैंकर मंगा के देंगे? जो सोसाइटी का पैसा पूरा टैंकर में, अपना टैंकर में जाएगा तो फिर क्या बचेगी?
I have handled slums in Bombay, okay, and I also worked in other corporations like Pune Corporation, all that. Let me frankly tell you one thing, that we as a system lack pro-poor approach. I mentioned pitiable conditions in the slum areas, lack of infrastructure, no water. I mean, these people are paying higher taxes or charges for water and power than the rich people. And nobody would believe in that. Since BMC is not able to provide water supply to many localities which are not declared as slums, who provides? The private sector, the so-called dadas, the tanker dadas. Now these tanker dadas, they bring all sorts of water from some well, etc., and they charge hell of a lot of money from the poor people, and poor people have nothing to fall back upon. So they have to rely on intermediaries, and these intermediaries have become very powerful. And you won't believe, they are so powerful now that there is a nexus between criminals and these people. So you just can't touch them.
हम लोग बहुत खुशी में थे कि हमको बिल्डिंग मिलने वाला है, बिल्डिंग में जाएंगे तो हम लोग बहुत कुछ अच्छा हो जाएगा। जब हम लोग बिल्डिंग में आने के बाद तो मालूम पड़ेगा हमको झोपड़ा पट्टी अच्छा था, उधर अभी बिल्डिंग बनाए भी पूरा लीकेज है, ऊपर का पानी पूरा नीचे आ रहा है, पूरा टॉयलेट लीकेज है, पूरा अपना हाल में लीकेज हो रहा है, वो भी कुछ बराबर बना के नहीं दिया है।
This is a slum rehabilitation authority project. Thousands of tenements, cheek by jowl, buildings barely a few feet away from each other with virtually no open spaces. Bombay did have its golden age. Fishing villages whose vestiges still dot the city's coastline, from Cuff Parade to Warsaw, from the pride of the city to becoming an inconvenience in its race to become Shanghai.
तो मेरा क्या कहना है कि ये शहर का जो एक बनाया गया था ना, तो आम आदमी के लिए था वो शहर, जो जिनके आमदनी के लिए सूट था।
गांव जिसको
हाँ, वो गांव भी था,
गांव ही था।
जो यहाँ के लोगों ने आके अपने लिए अच्छी सुविधा लेने के एक गांव ही बसाया था। उसमें
क्यों बंद हुआ?
एक पहला कारण था कि पहले उनको तो टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री चलाना नहीं थी। सही मानो तो ऐसा नहीं था कि मालिक के पास पैसा नहीं था, उनके पास था, लेकिन उनका प्लान था कि हम लोग ज़मीन बेचने के पहली परमिशन तो ले लें। तो सरकार तो दे नहीं रही थी, मूवमेंट का तभी तक दबाव था, दत्ता सामंत वगैरह सब लोग ने मोर्चे निकाले। वह ऐसे मालूम है ना, उन्होंने क्या किया, फिर हम मिल नहीं चलाते हैं, उसने 10 मिल बंद कर दिए। 10 मिल बंद करने के बाद हमारे तो मोर्चे शुरू हो गए, हम लोग तो थे कि ये मिल चलना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए। तो मैं बोलता हूँ 87 से लेकर 4 साल तक सरकार राह देख रहे थे। तो उन्होंने क्या किया मालूम है, एक एक मिल बंद करना शुरू किया। सभी मालूम है कि एक दफ़े नहीं बंद किया, मजदूर लड़ना शुरू कर हमारा, मैं एटलीस्ट बार्गेनिंग पावर ऐसी शुरू हो गई कि एटलीस्ट हमारे ड्यूज तो दे दो। तो जो लड़ाई गिरनी शुरू करना जो होनी थी वो लड़ाई ड्यूज पे आई।
On these last graveyards of a once thriving working class, more shopping malls and more residential towers are getting ready to come up. Even the protests are dying out.
See, public in Mumbai have no time for protests if it doesn't concern them, because they are living day by day. For them, just traveling by train itself is such a Herculean effort that where is the time to protest? He's more busy making ends meet, and I would say his entire energy goes in just traveling. You'll be interested to know that Mumbai, India's tallest residential towers, which are the most plushest, have come up as part of a slum redevelopment scheme. I'm talking about the Tardev Towers. One has the right to make profits. One is not against making profits, but here you are allowing the developer to earn ultra profits. I would say indulge in profiteering. You'd suddenly tweak the FSI, increase it for certain projects, all in the name of the public or all in the name of the poor. But the ultimate beneficiary is the developer. The government has abdicated its role as far as housing is concerned in Mumbai.
अभी यह सामने दिखाई देता है, ये जो ब्रिज जहाँ से गया है, जहाँ से गुजरता है, वो जगह हम लोगों का जाली यानी मच्छी पकड़ने का फिशिंग ग्राउंड है। अभी तो ये अभी 1 महीना हो गया चालू हो गया, लेकिन लोग अभी महसूस कर रहे हैं कि इसके कारण हमारा बहुत सारा नुकसान हो गया है। फॉरेन कंट्री में जो कुछ चमकीला है वो इधर लाने का हमारा गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का या गवर्नमेंट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र का भी कोशिश रहा है, लेकिन वो चमकीला करने के पहले यहाँ जो मछुआरे का जो राइट्स है, कस्टमरी राइट्स है, ट्रेडिशनल राइट्स है, लाइवलीहुड का राइट्स है, वो काम करने का राइट्स है, ये जो सब हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स है, उनका अमल के लिए कुछ काम करने का, कोई तकलीफ़ उठाने का कोई दिखाई नहीं देता है। बड़े बड़े स्काई स्क्रैपर वाले को इतना बड़ा पैमाने पर पानी देता है, क्या ज़रूरी है क्या ये? उनका पानी कम करो, जहाँ जहाँ डेवलप करने का है वहाँ डेवलपमेंट का फ़ायदा अपना स्थानिक भूमिपुत्र है, वहाँ के जो लोग हैं, स्थानिक लोग हैं, उनको मिलना चाहिए डेवलपमेंट का फ़ायदा।
The poor and the middle class are being pushed out of the city limits. They have been pushed out. You know, I earn much more than what my grandparents used to do when they used to work 3 decades ago or 4 decades ago. With their salary, they could manage to buy a flat in Bandra. I can't even think of Borivali with my salary. Certain people keep on saying, you know, more FSI, Mumbai is land starved, so you need to go up, vertically up. But once you go up, whom is it meant for? Who can afford to stay in such apartments in high-rise buildings? It's only meant for a certain class of people. It is not meant for people like you and me. It's not meant for the middle class. So as I said, the middle class, the poor are all being pushed out of the city.
I remember from one of your articles, this thing about dropouts of schools, people not being able to afford health care, they're clearly unaffordable.
Well, everything has been privatized. It's as simple as that.
But what's wrong with privatization? Everybody is sort of so gung-ho about it. They say this is the way out. They should be.
But then way out for whom? For the rich?
Less government. There should be more private.
Absolutely. So basically, then you shut down the government. You put a lock on Mantralaya and say privatize everything. That's the panacea. The government should just pack up and leave.
Right up to the late 80s, 30% of the budget went to public health. Today, it is just 13%. So, which means that they've just stopped investing and they've stopped financing the public. So, the existing system is just collapsing. So, 2 decades back, when my daughter was born, we were still going to the public hospital, and she was born in a public hospital. But today, when I needed some surgery, I'm embarrassed to say that I had to resort to a private hospital because I no longer wanted to risk my life at that age to go to a public hospital, because being a health activist, I've seen what is happening in those hospitals, and it cost me a lot of money. So any program designed for the poor never works in practice, and we've seen that. So schemes become scheming. Actually, the whole development process works on schemes. If you see, all the large public hospitals are actually trust hospitals. Whether it's Bombay Hospital or Hinduja, Leelavati, Jaslok, whatever. Now these hospitals, if they are registered as trust hospitals, there is an obligation by law under the Bombay Public Trust Act that they are supposed to treat 20% of patients free. Okay, inpatients free, and about 10% or 12% of outpatients free. So that is the law, because they are getting a tax rebate. They don't pay taxes. So all the surplus that they make is pocketed by the doctors or whatever, some process of appropriation. But they can't show profits because they are trust hospitals. So if you look at actually who these people are treating, it's basically the rich, right? People who have a lot of money. And that 20% of beds which were supposed to be reserved for the for free care, the state doesn't monitor it. They don't have ethics and responsibility and are not transparent about it. So there's no monitoring, and as a result, that subsidy which they've received from the state is a loss. If you have to actually calculate this subsidy, it is huge. So if this hospital has about 1,000 beds, then about 200 beds should be free. So when a government allows them to import MRI machines without taxes, then there's a return. They will say, okay, then 20% of the MRI should be done free.
Right, right.
Now who monitors that? The governments don't monitor it.
There is just no monitoring of
Yeah.
it, right?
So you have given away so much of subsidy, but then no accountability.
Yeah.
Let us accept one fact that privatization, liberalization will not address issues of poor. Okay, the private sector investment will happen only in those areas where there is higher return on investment, high rate of return. Okay, this has to be in the domain, in the public domain. Private sector will never cater to poor people. There has to be will, there has to be very strong will in favor of poor, which unfortunately I think is lacking. So unless we do that, Mumbai city will have much more serious problems. We'll have to, now time has come that we need to address these issues very seriously now.
As a senior bureaucrat, do you see a future for the city?
Mumbai has, I suppose, come to a more than saturation level. Everything is has come to a very, very serious stage now that we need to think in terms of dispersal. The livelihood opportunities have to be created outside Mumbai. Housing has to be created in a big way outside Mumbai.
No, I have always believed that there is space, and there is enough space for all to fulfill all requirements. But I think it's a situation of inefficient use of space. It's a situation where space is colonized, where space is denied to the majority of people, where space, because of its manipulation in the real estate market, is priced very high. You know, we've also learned how maps are drawn and the politics that goes into drawing maps. You know, what I've discovered or realized in this mapping process is that the vast sort of extent of natural or what I call the natural assets of the city are most often or generally not recognized. Generally, we all quote this figure of Mumbai's area being 437 square kilometers. Now we find from our mapping that Mumbai's land is 482 square kilometers. It jumped by nearly 45 square kilometers additionally. Now, obviously, certain lands probably are being kept out and not being recognized. Now, if they're kept out and not recognized, they're open to manipulation. They're open to abuse and misuse. So our purpose is to bring them all into the map so it can be focused, so there can be plans for its protection, that public awareness is, is brought to brought to the fore, and we know about the vital assets of our city. You see, it's like this. We have a national park, which is called the Sanjay Gandhi National Park. And there are two large lakes here, the Tulsi and the Vihar, and then an outflow into the Powai, which very few cities again across the world have. The other very big thing that we really have is these creeks that you see. So many water channels that sort of from the sea cuts into the land of the city. And then we have the mangroves, these greens that you see on the eastern waterfront, and you also have the mangroves on the western waterfronts. So these are our defense barriers against, natural calamities. You also have the hills
of Mandala, the national park is on a hill. You then have a river which really outflows from these three lakes to the Arabian Sea, which is known as the Mithi River. Upstream the river, there are fishing villages in Kurla, but the Mithi River has been turned into a sewerage channel. So the whole idea is, if these rivers, creeks, open spaces, mangroves, and all of them could hold hands together, it would radically alter the map of the city. It would, in a sense, liberate the city from the clutches of real estate onslaught, which we all think in our popular minds as the way to development or as the basis of development. Believe it or not, through citizens' effort, today we have redeveloped the 4 kilometers of Juhu beach that you see here, and then we have another 4 kilometers of Bandra's coastline developed as public promenades, which is in Carter Road and Bandstand here. And then we have also developed the Bandra Fort as a cultural space for public use.
Then PK, that time came, Shabana came, we had a meeting, Juhu was to be started. I shook Shabana's hand, I never let her go. That was the thing. Then PK came, he brought his team of architects, we surveyed walking few residents and PK from one end to the other, and he went on sketching, which is encroached, which is not encroached. This was born. After about 6 months, Carter Road took off. Then people were so enthusiastic. I mean, absolutely, when it was 1/3, they started walking and taking over like our space, that is what we wanted. And that is what we feel is lacking today. People expect that we carry on, we do. This is what is lacking. Well, how is it like in Darrell there?
Yeah, this is a common space where people of all communities and all classes can come together and learn to share that space. And in the sharing, there's a new kind of perception about how we relate to each other. That we don't relate to each other by, pushing and tugging and cornering space, but learning to share it in a very democratic and transparent and a very open manner. So I think it's a very important experiment which can teach us a lot about how we can relate in a very congested city like Mumbai, how we can relate to each other. Even the earmarked public spaces, the gardens, are being privatized, they're being turned over to clubs and for people to convert that public space into private space. So this is the reverse process. It was, in a public space which has been made more public, in a space which was otherwise a seafront, which was otherwise neglected. So it does seem that it's people's participation at all levels that can make this happen.
Where we really have succeeded is, in a sense, bringing in participation, as Darrell has talked about. But where we failed really is to kind of build strong partnerships with our own governments. Not able to really get the government to play an important role or participate in that tripartite between the residents, entrepreneurs, and the government, who should have actually come together.
Where is the space in the city for people to live, breathe, build, and share? Is there hope then in this city for a better city, for an open city, a more democratic, more equitable city? A city that doesn't squeeze out its people. We believe there is.